Hello, and welcome to the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast with your host, Kristen Harrod. Kristen, good to be with you again. How are you?
I'm great, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I am intrigued by the topic today because it's a topic that, well, I get asked a lot about. So, why don't you set this up for us? What are we talking about?
Today, we're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn to grow your RAA. So, people ask me all the time,
Mm,
should I be on LinkedIn? What should I be doing on LinkedIn? Should I be spending money on LinkedIn? Do I need Sales Navigator? All of these questions. So, today, we're going to break down LinkedIn and take a look at how to use it. Who should use it for what types of things, and hopefully you can step away knowing exactly what you need to do next on the platform.
no, and I think it's a great topic because just so everyone knows, I am an unabashed enthusiast for LinkedIn. It's literally the only social program that or media program that I'm actively involved in on a daily basis. I like it and have been on there for a long time. But I do get questions from people all the time asking me, should I be on LinkedIn and why? So why don't we
Right.
just start with the basics, Kristen?
Yeah. So let's start with the, people always say, well, my audience isn't on LinkedIn, or I don't do social media marketing or posts. And all of that is fine. And we'll get into whether or not you should be doing marketing
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. But all of us who are professionals in the world
Yeah.
should have a LinkedIn profile, because when someone hears about you, when someone gets a referral to you, when someone says, I'm looking for someone and I got your name, they are going to
Yeah.
type your name into search. And the exciting thing about LinkedIn is it usually ranks higher than your own website in terms of search on your name. Not always, but it can come up really top in the list.
Yeah.
And more importantly, someone most likely, if they're legitimately looking for a financial advisor, they're going to go into LinkedIn and put your name in and make sure you're legit, right?
Yeah.
So, it's an area where trust is absolutely essential. And if anyone's doing their due diligence or researching or checking out to be like, oh, who is this? Let me find out. They're going to look at your website. That's one thing. But they're probably first going to look for you in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's important to be there, whether or not you do an ounce of ongoing marketing there. So go
That's
ahead.
true. It's true, and I agree. But in the context of an RIA setting up an account, I mean, do they have to be active on LinkedIn when they post their profile, or
We'll get into that. So this is
Okay.
part one, which is everyone needs a profile. And then people go, was it a company page or a personal page?
Uh-huh.
So you must have a personal page, right? Because we're humans, right? And we're
Yes.
interacting as humans.
I
And we
like to
aren't
think we are anyway. Right.
yeah, we're not one dimensional, right? So
Yeah.
we aren't just a financial advisor or just a consultant or a business coach. We
Correct.
are multiple things, but we have a profession that we're in. So you want to have a personal profile, and then assuming you have control or in charge of the company page, you want to have a company page as well.
Mm.
And that's mainly as well to check the box of legitimacy. And then on your LinkedIn profile, when you list your employer, you can link to the company page, and it'll pull in the logo and the information from that and make it just a more visually appealing
Yeah.
profile. So I have a few rules or areas around a LinkedIn profile that I want everyone to do. And then we'll get into, should I be posting or marketing or liking or
Okay.
commenting, or what should I be doing? So first pet peeve is put a professional headshot in there. Don't have yourself cropped out of a photo from you and your husband on your last vacation, and you pulled
There's
your
half a
picture.
landscape in the background, and clearly
Yes,
somebody's been
yes,
cut out of it. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
yes. It's not Facebook, right? We're not on Instagram. We're
Right.
not doing that. We need a professional photo. Also, and most people do that one, so that's great. But at the top, there's that banner that sits behind your photo. So the
Hmm.
circle has your picture in it. And then
Yep.
there's a background photo at the top. And so many people leave the default in there. And that is like the first thing someone sees when they click on your profile. And so it gives you the opportunity to present an image about yourself. So now it can be a photo that speaks to who you are as a person. Um, I, for a long time, had a picture of Bondi Beach in Australia because we had been living abroad and I was very
Hmm.
excited about it and people were asking me about it. And it was a nice connector.
Yeah.
Um, I've had I've had clients who, one is an Ironman triathlete. And so he had a picture of himself, like of the athletes in the triathlon. It was very, very, engaging and appealing. And then you can also do a branded piece. Like right now, I have, I launched a new brand. So I have a branded header up there. I'm doing enrollment for for my V2 leaders program. So I have, just a call out to that. But you can elevate your brand by having a simple designed background photo at the top. And the good news is you can just go to Canva and canva.com, and we'll put a link in the show notes
Okay.
and click on that link because I pulled in the link that takes you directly to the background photo templates. And they have a whole bunch of them. And you can just pick one you like, put your brand colors in, put your logo if you want. If you don't want to personalize it beyond that, at least it makes it more interesting and engaging. So when someone looks at it, it's kind of complete from the top.
Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
that you're like, really, all of that on that small thing, but it really makes a difference. And
Well,
I just had a coach. Go ahead.
no, no, I was just going to say it's cliche, so we dismiss it all of the time, but first
Right.
impressions make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I just had a coaching client who was he was a little resistant to like these small details around branding
Right.
and image. And then he updated the profile on LinkedIn and got a nice branded header, and then for the other people on his team, and then for the company page,
Yeah.
kind of different nuanced ones. And he was like, I thought it wasn't going to make a difference. And he's like, I just feel like we put a little polish on and
Nice.
that we make ourselves just look a
Nice. Well
little
done.
bit elevated, which I agree. You can stand out from that.
Hmm.
Um, another area that I like people to look at is the descriptor below your name,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
yeah. I
again, when you
struggle with
first
that all
log
the
in, you pull
time.
someone up. Yes. So a lot of people just reiterate the title that they have down in their experience. It'll be like CEO of
Yeah.
ABC Wealth Advisors. I like to use that area to let someone know something they won't know by looking down below, right? I can scan quickly down to your experience section and go, oh, he's the CEO of this. It doesn't mean you don't include that in there, but there's a few different ways. You can have a benefit oriented statement like, I help advisors who are building their version 2 of their RAA achieve new heights without sacrificing personal fulfillment. So mine is some version of that. But
Hmm.
you can also have it where you have it say like founder of XYZ RAA, um, engaged community member, supporter of theater. I'm trying to think of some other good ones I've seen, like proud dad. And then like I have on mine wrestling mom because
Yeah.
my kids wrestled. And so you're
Right.
putting just a little more context. You could have something like world traveler. I like to have something that tells me more about who you are as
So
a
you can
human.
so you can personalize it a little bit. That's the
Right,
way we
right.
can
So
put a little
there's a few
personality.
different, yeah. My tip for everyone is to, when you read some ones that you think sounds really interesting, just note it and say, oh, I'd like to, it could be a benefit statement on how you help your clients. It's a great place to put in who you help right out of the gate. Like,
Yeah.
I help business owners find freedom when they're ready to sell their company. Something, very straightforward, but you're like, someone who's looking at it goes, oh, I get it. I
Yeah.
see what you do. So again, a lot of work focused on that first, like 1/3 of the screen when someone looks on you or when they pull you up on the phone. That's what you're going to see right away.
I got a quick question
Um,
about that, if you don't
mhm.
mind. because I struggle with mine all the time, and I see some people who write paragraphs in that little
Yeah.
area. Do you think that there should be a more focused, briefer kind of statement, if you will?
The two approaches I've seen work well is, like I said, a very straightforward, like, here's who I help these people do
Yeah.
this so they can what? The very basic. Mine, I pulled it up so I can read it more clearly. Helping RIA leaders build version 2.0 with clarity, confidence, and fulfillment. And so that's succinct. I think a big long paragraph, if you're doing that, you better be breaking it up with some dashes and breaks, because it can be a
Yeah, yeah.
lot. Like, make sure it's succinct. But I'll say I get more questions and engagement around the things that aren't about how I help REA leaders.
No.
I have on here that I'm an F45 enthusiast, which is the fitness workout that I do.
Yes.
That's going to carry me in terms of people engaging and going, oh, that's interesting. I do CrossFit, or I do X, Y, and Z, or have you found, I had someone recently message me, I have one down the street from you. Should I try it out? So I was like,
Oh,
look at that. So let's not overlook the fact that the personal elements, but honestly, I have not seen too many people with the big long paragraphs. I say shorter's better, but don't be afraid to put a few different elements
yeah.
or facets of your personality in there.
Okay.
Good question, though. And try it out. The good news is you can change it every day if you want. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can.
Yeah.
I love that for sure. One question is, should I be verified? You can now see this little shield with a check mark
Yeah.
on there. And so I didn't do it for a while. I just did it. It was really easy. It's like when you go to the airport now and they have you take a selfie. You stand in front of a camera and then they
Yep.
compare your face to your ID. It does confirm that you are who you say you are and adds a level of credibility. Some claim that it improves your profile's visibility. I don't know if that's true or not, and I have no idea. Maybe it would show up higher in search rankings if someone was looking for you. But overall, I think, if it can add credibility, it makes sense to do it. I do know the concern is that you may not want to. You can also upload your government ID and they'll match it. So I understand there's privacy concerns and people may not want to share that data, or they may be worried about what happens on the photo. They say that the photo data is deleted and not shared. So it depends on your own personal level of comfort there.
Okay.
But that is something, I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I went ahead and did it. So time will tell, I guess. And I don't think I'll really know. So
Yeah.
there's that. We'll see what happens there. Another thing that people can do, and again, this is just like straight up profile, whether or not you're marketing, is tailor that about section. Right below there, you get to say, it says about. And so many people just put in their they put in their bio from their website, which is essentially just summarizing the experience that's in the experience section.
Yes.
Right. So you're like, that's telling me nothing. Write a personalized message. Talk about who your ideal client is. Talk about how you help them. Speak as if you're speaking to a prospect there. That is an area where someone can open up and learn more about you. It gives you a chance to add a little creativity and personality beyond just the resume blocks below.
Yeah, you
So
could make that a story, right? I mean, you
you can
could you
make it a
could you could
story.
make that like a really
Absolutely.
quick story. Like I grew up, poor. I barely got into college. Money's important to me, and this is how a
That's a
quick
great
story
one.
about how you
Yes.
became, right? What
Yeah,
you
like
while you're
what
doing it.
motivated you? What's your drive? Why do you care?
Yeah.
Why do you serve the audience you serve? What matters
Yes.
to you? So again, another area where see ones that you like from other people and do your own version of those. So that's a big one. Another thing is, in the experience section, just give a description of your firm down there. So what does your firm do? You have the option to add in a description. So it's a good time to put in the summary statement or the elevator pitch summary of what your firm
Yes.
does and the areas that you help with. You definitely want to connect to your company page there. Seems like a no-brainer, but I've seen it where it's not happening. I'm like, oh, it looks so much better when you have the logo there. And then make sure all of your former employer pages are linked to your profile. So if you have them in there, and if they have a company page, you just have to go in and click that button and it'll pull their logo in. If the company's no longer in business, it'll just show a placeholder, which is just what happens when you do that. So, and then another cool feature that's really gotten a lot easier to use is showcasing your content in that featured section. So it falls right below there, and you can put blog posts in there. You can link to articles. You can put in videos. I put my podcast episodes in there. So every time we have a new podcast episode, I publish it there. It's easy. You cut and paste a link. It pulls it in a thumbnail. It's a great way to get some more eyes on your content and really help round out your profile. So that's been really upgraded in the last few years on the profile. I mean, on LinkedIn side. So that's exciting. So that's kind of the baseline of like, everyone do this, the basic things. And then even if you don't do regular content, try to find something you can put in that section. Maybe you contributed an article that was published online, or something where you could pull that in. But so that's kind of the baseline. And then when we get into how do we use LinkedIn for marketing or sales strategy, so the biggest thing here is you have to know if your audience is in fact using LinkedIn as a major tool for themselves. Just because they are, they have a profile, or like, for instance, if you looked up your clients and you saw them, like, even if they have profiles, doesn't mean that's an active space for them. So some people, they're working with, I'm trying to think of they'll be like, oh, well, they're business owners, so they're on LinkedIn. But they're business owners who are, say, like construction or electricians or plumbers, and getting out, and they're really not spending time on LinkedIn. So you have to know your niche and where they spend their time. And, are people on LinkedIn only when they're looking for jobs? Because a lot of people will go, oh, I work with the tech sector, they're on LinkedIn. Maybe not. You don't know. You have to kind of see what your audience, if they're an engineer, are they spending time there? Maybe not. But sales or HR, yeah, they probably are. So you got to think about the function, and then you have to think about just what do you know about your audience, and is that the best medium to use?
I know I do see, personally, I do see a lot of people who are like chief marketing officers who are marketing themselves, because they know that they have a group of professional people of whatever fields that are there, right? So
right. And it's interesting because B2B or business to business services, it's an essential place to be for many. I'll say for myself, for sure. Business to consumer, that's where it really depends on your consumer profile. What are they? Who are they? How old are they? Where do they spend their time on that? So important to note. So people ask me, there's a whole bunch of questions about posting that I want to address.
Okay.
Should I post on my company page or on my personal page? That's one of the most common questions. So it depends on the content. If it's a company focused, say, blog or podcast or video, then you'll want to be posting on your company page, so it's there, as someone comes in. Kind of, I like to consider that like a library. So if people came, they could go and look something up in the library of what you're sharing. But I always want content over on your personal page, because it's going to get way more traction, and it's tied back to, again, the individual and your perspective on it. So you can go into the content that's posted on a company page and hit the little share button, which is like, I think, a little paper airplane. Hit the share, and then add your own perspective in the comment above, and then it will post in your feed. So then it's on the company page, and it's also on your personal page. So that's just one example. People always ask, do we share or do we post again? Like, take the company post and then post it again. You can do either. I've not seen one do more than the other. The important part is that when you share something, that you give your own personal summary or comment at the top, so that it's not just regurgitation, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. Yeah.
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 And then another one is, should everyone on the team be posting that same content? So our company published a blog and we have 4 advisors. Should each advisor be posting that, or is that overkill, or what should we do? So I like to have, in that case, when I'm working with a larger firm and they have content, that we'll publish it first on the company page. Then we'll send a notice out to everyone in the company who is on LinkedIn. So all the advisors and potentially other team members, depending on how the firm's set up. And we send sample commentary copy that they can add at the top, and hashtags and everything. And then we say, you can either go in, hit this button and put this content at the top, or post this article and here's what you can put with it. So we instruct everyone so that all of the people in the team, because you're all connected with different folks, can share the content. So I think that's how you can get the most leverage out of that.
So spread it out over multiple outlets, if you will. I mean, in terms of people.
Right? And again, the more you can add your own flavor to it, the better. So it's not just obvious, just cut, paste. That's really important. But take advantage of the full network of advisors. And some of my firms, they track it like a sort of like a scorecard of like, are you posting and sharing? Are you posting and sharing? Like, and who's posting and sharing the most, to get engagement across the firm. So what time of day should I post? That's a favorite. What do you think, Bill?
I love that one. I don't know. I mean, as an old news guy, I know that if you want things ignored, you post them on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. I do think about that too. I'm like, honestly, I don't know. So, see what gets engagement when, and find out, you'll see. Sometimes it's Sunday morning. If you're working with CEOs of larger companies, their only free time to get on LinkedIn may be Sunday morning. You never know.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's just that's an example. I don't have data behind
understand
that, but I've different people, different times. Sometimes Friday morning is the time when someone looks, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably your best bet. Monday, maybe not so much, unless you're doing like a Monday motivation thing, so it just depends. So I don't have a good answer on that. Okay. And that's, I think, someone trying to make sure they do it exactly right rather than just do it. So that's my
which is a whole nother podcast, which you've already done. It's like, just do it.
I think that was episode 9. You don't have to be perfect.
Yes. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be done.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so you can also, people ask, should I use one of those third-party schedulers like a Hootsuite or a Buffer, or there's a whole bunch of them out there now.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
So that can help in terms of doing advanced planning. I like to have those set up if you're going to go on vacation and you want to have something out there, or you can have a team member help and aggregate that content and put it together for you. Those can be super helpful, which essentially just allow you to spread the content out and do it in advance and kind of batch it and spread it out. You can also schedule directly through LinkedIn. I'll do this for myself because a lot of times in the evening, I'll think of something and go, I want to put that on LinkedIn, but I know I don't need to share it at 9:00 at night because no one's going to be looking. So I'll schedule it for the next morning. So you can go in, and they added that. That's a newer feature in LinkedIn, where you can just click the little clock and schedule.
Releases
there are some issues
designated time. Yeah.
Right. With the third, there are some issues though, in that you can't tag people in the schedulers, or at least most of the ones I've run into. And so you have to you can tag companies, but not people, and in some of the platforms. So you may have to go in and edit the post. I find that frustrating, and hopeful that will resolve. I think it's a LinkedIn problem, not a platform problem, but not a scheduler problem. So hopefully that can get resolved. When you're posting videos, and this I learned from Katie, episode 10 on video, is when it's not a video first platform, which, a YouTube is a video first platform, but LinkedIn is not. She says without a doubt, and she is a video expert, is like, turn on the captions, have the closed captions, have the text there so people can read it, because they don't have their sound on usually, which was sort of one of those of course moments to me when she mentioned that to
Yes.
me. It seemed obvious. It is something you can do natively right there in LinkedIn. You can just do it when you add the video, or now a lot of the video editing, just you can turn that feature on too. So um, that's an important one, and I will say I have made that error. So I will not moving forward for sure. Other things, types of content. This is another area I think is really important. People ask, what should I share? How do I decide what to share? So there's a few things. Obviously, if you're regularly recording and sharing content, which I highly recommend in our business to help build trust, build relationship, whether it's a podcast, blog, videos, whatever it is, we want to have that as a regular element in your mix. So you can have whatever your main platform is to generate interest. So say you do a podcast, you can pull out those podcast shorts, you can pull out clips, you can pull out infographics, or you can pull out quotes, but your content should be kind of a baseline of what you're sharing. So that way people know who you are and what you're about. But then I also want to see, and where I see the most engagement, I'm sure you've seen this too, Bill, it's not on that content. It's on the random photo you took a snapshot of while you were, walking down the street and having a brilliant thought. And so you take a snapshot and post it and give your insight. And then there you go. That's the one that gets the most views.
Well, yeah, it's a
So,
different way because it breaks through, right? And
right,
presumably it's a professional, insight, right? And it
right.
breaks through.
Right.
It breaks through for people because it comes from a different direction, and suddenly it's like, oh, I heard that. I didn't hear it before.
Right. And if you can add that personal element, like a snapshot, a story, something
Yes.
about you being a human, I do think it again adds to people going, okay, there's more. They're not one dimensional, right? It adds
Yeah.
dimension to who you are, and we do want to keep it with a professional layer, so that can be, kind of a continuum of what does professional mean. But that's kind of the I would say the caveat is just make sure you stick to the essence of the platform, right? And
Yes.
then things about you as a professional: speaking, conferences, attending classes, hanging out with colleagues, things that your company is doing. Those are great things to share as well as content for content. And then another area that I'm going to tread lightly with, but is curated content. I do like to, if you follow my feed, and if you're not following me on LinkedIn, feel free to reach out and connect. Um, the curated content is articles that I find interesting that also resonate with the pain or aspiration of my target audience, right? So things that are interesting to me that I also know a lot of my advisors who follow me, growth minded advisors who are whole life focused, who are entrepreneurial in style. I'll find many articles related to that I'll highlight when relevant, and also bring in things around marketing or business development, things
Yeah.
like that as they come in. Say I don't need to be the source of all of the content, but it has to be quality content, and it has to have my personal take on it in the comments. I know there are many, many, many um, curated platforms out there where they just give you the content and they go, here, we give you this. And that way you're posting every day with a new article, and there's no commentary, there's nothing. And it's the same one the other people, the other
Yeah. No,
advisors down the street are doing.
it just doesn't ring true.
I
Just
know.
doesn't
You're
ring
like,
true.
give me some effort, right?
Yeah.
And you can have a team member do that for you. So I have someone, and this is one of the greatest things I did a number of years ago. I found someone on Upwork. She's an amazing woman who just loves sourcing stuff for me. I gave her the topics I want her to look for. She looks up things for me. Then she provides a list, writes content for me that goes with it. You can also use AI to write those the content to support it. Then I review it all because I have to I make sure it's in my voice, and that
Yeah.
agree or disagree, or, she's gotten to know me pretty well, so we don't have a whole lot to fix now. But she'll come out and be like, oh, I found this article about fitness exercises you can do at your desk. And I'll read it and be like, yes, that's a great one. Let's share that. So she started, she'll track and see what's working or not working. And so it's a way for me to have curated content that I'm not spending all day long on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
She's getting that ready or looking for content. She's doing that for me. And then I'm bringing it in and truly curating it. She's curating first round and I'm giving the stamp of approval, which is
Sure.
it's a lot of fun too, to be like, oh, that's a great article. I've learned a
Yeah.
lot there.
I can
And then,
imagine. Exactly.
yeah, I know we're running short on time. I just wanted to say one more thing on types of content to share is shining a light on other people's accomplishments, on causes you care about. It's a platform for
Ah,
you to be able to utilize your network to elevate others, right? Or create awareness around an issue or a topic that's, uh, important to you, relevant to your audience, or just something that you want, you need help with. So I know
yeah.
I
I think
posted.
you know what, I want to ask your feedback on this. I know we're
Sure.
going to have to wrap it up in a second here, but this is an important question in my mind. It's like you hear this all the time. It doesn't always have to be about you.
Right.
Like what you're saying, it doesn't always have to be about you. It can be about look at what Kristen has done. Look at what this person has done. Look at these things.
Right.
And I personally like that. Have you
Yes.
found, like in a professional capacity, that makes an impact? Can you track that and say, yeah, that does, people do react positively to that?
Well, one, I think it works really well in an environment where we have such a strong referral culture in this business, whether
Yes.
there's like-minded professional, other professionals who have a similar audience, but different service offering. I think it helps to showcase them and to deepen that relationship and say, hey, you know what, I'm here to support you as well. And I'll do it as an educational thing as well, and say, hey, look at this person's video. This video is extremely well done. I like how they did
Mm,
X, Y, and Z. And so you can use it as an example of what you want to teach. But I think there's all kinds of room for us to congratulate and high five and authentically be like, wow, I know Bill personally, and I trust his, professional capacity, and he posted this and I really want to share it with my network.
yes.
Like, so I think there's a lot of room for that. So um, I'm going to say, Bill, that I think we're going to need LinkedIn part two in a separate, a
Well, you know
separate
what? That's the beauty of this stuff.
episode.
So that is the beauty of this platform, and that's the beauty of this particular medium, is that we can do
Yes,
that.
because I was like, we've done some basics today. We've done the baseline, and we can get into some more advanced strategies and/or how to use the platform if that's one that you want to go all in on in terms of prospecting or lead gen or nurturing your network. So we'll save that for another day.
Good.
And for now, everyone can get their profile in order, think through their content strategy if their audience is one that's on there, or if they want to build an audience of a center of influence or another type of relationship that they're trying to build. So we'll get into that more in a future episode.
Excellent. In the meantime, until that part two drops, if people want to continue this conversation with you, want to have a further, talk with you more about this, how do they get a hold of you to do that?
The best way is to go to fulladvisorcoaching.com, click that request to call button, and get on my calendar, and we'll have a conversation. LinkedIn is a topic I cover with every single person I work with, unless you've already mastered it, and then I may ask you some questions. So, uh, no, I love the platform. I think it's incredible. It works for many, many advisors. So, also connect with me on LinkedIn. If we have
Yeah.
not yet connected, reach out,
You are
send
there
the
and you
connection
are
request.
active,
I
and I
am
do
there.
follow you. As a matter of fact,
I
I
know.
can attest. I can attest to
I'm there almost every day. So, stop in, say hello.
excellent. That is great. The other thing you could do, folks, if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, become a subscriber. And that part's really easy. You just have to reach out and hit the follow button. Boom. You're a subscriber. In that way, when Kristen drops a new episode of her podcast, like say example, maybe LinkedIn part two, You'll be notified. You don't have to think about when or where you heard it. You can then listen to it. And the other thing I would ask, and this is a personal one, if you like this podcast, if you find it useful, if you find it interesting, tell people about it. Please. Word of mouth is a terrific promotional tool, and we do appreciate you doing that. Until next time, on behalf of Kristen and everybody at Volt Advisor Coaching, I'm Bill Tucker, thanking you for taking the time to listen today. Until next time.